So we are discussing the Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill 2013. In the first part of the discussion, we have considered the background of the topic and the composition of the Lokpal. And let's deal with some other issues of the Lokpal Bill 2013. See, the Lokpal chairperson, the chairperson of the Lokpal has got the power to set up the inquiry wing and the prosecution wing. So the inquiry wing can be set up by the chairperson of the Lokpal to do the preliminary inquiry. When a complaint is filed before the Lokpal, the preliminary inquiry, that is whether there is prima facie evidence, whether there is sufficient evidence to go ahead with investigation, to ascertain that, to look into that matter, the preliminary inquiry can be done through the inquiry wing. So the inquiry wing will be headed by the director of inquiry. So the director of inquiry will be head of the inquiry wing. So the rank of the director of inquiry will be equivalent to additional secretary to Government of India. So the director of inquiry heading the inquiry wing will be appointed by the chairperson of Lokpal from a panel of names recommended by the central government. So the job of the inquiry wing is to do the preliminary inquiry to establish whether there is any prima facie evidence or adequate evidence to proceed with investigation. Similarly, the chairperson of the Lokpal has got the authority to set up the prosecution wing. So the prosecution wing will be headed by the director of prosecution. So the director of prosecution will be equivalent to the additional secretary to Government of India. The rank of director of prosecution will be equivalent to additional secretary to Government of India. The director of prosecution will be appointed by the chairperson of Lokpal from a panel of names suggested by the central government. Fine. So this is about the inquiry wing and the prosecution wing. So I will go in detail what is this inquiry, what is this investigation and what is this prosecution when I deal with the procedure followed by the Lokpal. Now let's look into the jurisdiction of Lokpal. Who are the people who come under the purview of the Lokpal? Here the Prime Minister who is serving as well as the ex-Prime Minister, they come under the purview of the Lokpal. Union Minister, serving Union Minister or the ex-Union Minister, he will also come under the purview of Lokpal. Member of Parliament, the present member or the ex-member, and Group A and Group B officers of central government, they come under the jurisdiction of Lokpal. Similarly, Group C and Group D employees, they also come under the purview of the Lokpal. Along with these categories of the people, Government of India through an act of Parliament will be setting up many corporations like National Thermal Power Corporation, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, Central Pollution Corporation Board. So, with respect to any board or corporation set up by an act of Parliament, the chairperson of the board or corporation, the member of board or corporation, the officers associated with such a board or corporation, they also come under the purview of Lokpal. Along with this one, with respect to any trust or society, for example, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the film actor by name Chiranjeevi, he runs Chiranjeevi Charitable Trust. Like that, any trust or society which receives funding from Government of India, either partial funding or full funding. So those trusts and societies which receive funding from Government of India, either partially or fully, they also come under the purview of Lokpal. Similarly, any trust or society which receives funding from abroad to the extent of rupees 10 lakhs, to the extent of rupees 10 lakhs per annum, they also come under the purview of Lokpal. This is the jurisdiction of Lokpal. And the second Administrative Reforms Commission, in its report on ethics in governance, that is in the fourth report, it recommended that the Prime Minister should not be brought under the purview of Lokpal. Similarly, National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution, headed by M. N. Venkatachalaya, in its report in 2002, also recommended that there were some compelling reasons for which the institution of Prime Minister should not be brought under Lokpal. Despite the recommendations of Second Administrative Reforms Commission as well as the recommendations of M.N. Venkatachalaya Commission, the Prime Minister is brought under the Lokpal, but with some safeguards. What are the safeguards provided to the Prime Minister? So with respect to international relations, external and internal security, public order, atomic energy, space, with respect to these areas, no complaint can be made against the Prime Minister before the Lokpal. But with respect to other areas, other than the international relations, external and internal security, public order, atomic energy and space, with respect to areas other than these, a complaint can be made before the Lokpal. But once the complaint is made, this complaint has to be considered by the full bench of Lokpal. What is the full bench of Lokpal mean? All the 9 members shall be present. The chairperson along with 8 members. These 9 people together, even if one is absent, you cannot consider the complaint against the Prime Minister. All these 9 members, they shall consider the complaint, and 2/3 of the members, they shall give approval. Then only the preliminary inquiry can be started against the Prime Minister. Another safeguard provided to the Prime Minister is when inquiry and investigation is done on Prime Minister, the proceedings were held in camera. That is, the public will not be allowed to look to participate or to view the proceedings relating to preliminary inquiry and investigation. This is the safeguard which was provided only to the Prime Minister. That is, the proceedings are in camera. They were not displayed to the public. They will not be covered, live coverage will not be there for the public. But with respect to other people, these safeguards are not available. And then the work of Lokpal, that is, the Lokpal for its administrative convenience, to share the burden of the work, it can form into benches. See, when the High Court and the Supreme Court does their work, they will form into 1 judge bench, 2 judge bench, 3 judge bench, something like this. So to share the burden of the work, the Lokpal can form into several benches, 2-member bench, 3-member bench. So if it is a 2-member bench, there will be 2 members, at least 1 member shall be a judicial member. And the judicial member will act as the chairperson of that bench. If it is a 3-member bench, there should be at least 1 judicial member, and the judicial member will act as the chairperson of that bench. So the chairperson, if he is member of that bench, he will preside the bench. That is, he will become the automatic chairperson of that bench. And apart from that, if the chairperson will have an authority to shift a complaint from one bench to the other bench if there is any compelling need. So this is with respect to jurisdiction of Lokpal. Then administrative expenses of Lokpal. So the present Lokpal Bill 2013, which was approved by Parliament and assented to by President, the administrative expenses of the Lokpal, they will be charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. What is the significance of charging on the Consolidated Fund of India? So this is available even for the constitutional authorities like Finance Commission, Comptroller and Auditor General, Election Commission. All these bodies, the expenditure is charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. That means it is not subject to the vote of Parliament. The executive branch of government, that is the Union government, on its whims and fancies, it cannot cut down the expenditure to the Lokpal institution. So this is to ensure financial autonomy. In the absence of financial autonomy, in the absence of adequate funding, the Lokpal cannot be very effective. And this is the experience with respect to the Lokayuktas in the states which are already being implemented. So in majority of the states, the Lokayuktas were made deliberately weak institutions because they are not given adequate financings. And apart from that, even the commissions at the national level, National SC Commission, ST Commission, BC Commission, Minorities Commission, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, all these commissions at the national level, the expenses, that is the budgets, they are allocated by Government of India. They are not charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. This is one reason why these bodies, they are not very effective, because they don't have financial autonomy. So care is taken in the bill to ensure that The Lokpal will not depend on the Government of India for its finances. They are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. That means every year automatically the expenditure will be given without being subjected to vote in the Parliament. So this will ensure financial autonomy and efficient functioning of the Lokpal. Then how do you deal with the complaints against? See, the Lokpal will look into the complaints of corruption against Prime Minister, Union Ministers, Members of Parliament, Group A, Group B, Group C and Group D employees, chairperson, members and officials of board or corporation, trust or society. So here, in the jurisdiction of the Lokpal, with respect to members of Parliament, under Article 105, Clause 2, under Article 105, Clause 2, the conduct of a member of Parliament within the House, when he participates in the discussion, when he raises questions in the question hour, when he debates in the Parliament, when he gives vote in the Parliament, that behavior of the member shall not be inquired by the institution of Lokpal. In other words, for the behavior of the member of Parliament within the House, that will not come under the purview of the Lokpal. What comes under the purview of the Lokpal with respect to member of Parliament is his act of corruption outside the Parliament. Government of India is implementing MPLADs, Member of Parliament Local Area Development. So every year 5 crores will be given to the works. On an average for 5 years it will be 25 crores. So the works will be identified by the Member of Parliament and the funding will be released by the District Collector. While identifying these works, if the Member of Parliament indulges in corruption, then such acts will come under the purview of the Lokpal. Here the point is, under Article 105 Clause 2 of the Indian Constitution, the members of Parliament, they enjoy privileges, they enjoy immunity, they enjoy protection for their behavior within the Parliament. So that behavior of the member of Parliament within the House, it doesn't come under the purview of Lokpal. So this is about the jurisdiction of Lokpal. So what if there is any allegation of corruption against the chairperson itself, against the member of Lokpal, what is the remedy available? So in the Lokpal Bill 2013, if there is any complaint of corruption, against the chairperson of Lokpal or the member of the Lokpal, the procedure is 100 members of Parliament in writing, they shall submit a petition to the President. The President will refer it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will conduct the inquiry. Based on the inquiry, the chairperson or the member of Lokpal can be removed. So here the report of the Supreme Court will be in two ways. Based on the preliminary inquiry, that is temporary report, the chairperson of the Lokpal and members of Lokpal, they can be suspended from engaging in any work. Once the final report is available, for the act of misbehavior, that is which deals with corruption complaint, the chairperson of the Lokpal and members of the Lokpal, they will be removed by the President based on the report submitted by the Supreme Court. And what is the remedy if there is any allegation of corruption against an official of Lokpal? With respect to chairperson and member of Lokpal, the procedure is 100 members of Parliament, they shall submit a petition to the President, who will refer it to the Supreme Court, and based on the report submitted to the Supreme Court, a chairperson or member of Lokpal will be removed. Then the President of India, without referring to the Supreme Court, on his own, he can remove a chairperson or member of Lokpal on 3 grounds. One is infirmity of mind and body, and if he engages in paid employment outside his duty, and apart from that, if he is judged insolvent, so the chairperson or member of Lokpal can be removed by the President on his own without referring the matter to the Supreme Court on 3 grounds. If he is judged insolvent, if he engages in paid employment outside the office, and if he is, in the opinion of the President, in the opinion of the president, if he has infirmity of mind or body. On these three grounds, the president can remove a chairperson member of Lokpal on his own. And then, if there is any complaint of corruption against an official of Lokpal, the matter will be investigated by the Lokpal itself, and within 30 days the preliminary inquiry will be done, and based on the preliminary inquiry report, within 16 days prosecution will be initiated if there is any complaint of corruption against an official of Lokpal. So this is the mechanism available to deal with an allegation of corruption against the chairperson, member of Lokpal, and an official of Lokpal. And then